This is Ashley Canetti from the Almost Famous podcast. Can you believe all this talk about GLP-1s? Of course you can. It's all people talk about. Have you heard about Future Health, though? They make access to qualified doctors that know GLP-1s easier than ever. People can struggle with weight loss for years, trying various diets and exercises without lasting success. With GLP-1s, many people notice a reduction in cravings and felt more in control of their eating habits, which lead to weight loss, physical health, and feeling more optimistic about their future. They give millions of people affordable access to knowledgeable providers who really know weight loss medications for less than $3 a day. Find out if weight loss meds are right for you in 3 minutes at tryfh.com. That is tryfh.com. Again, tryfh.com.
Tryfh.com.
Future Health is not a healthcare services provider. Meds are prescribed at provider's discretion. Results may vary. Sponsored by Future Health.
Heads up, folks. Interest rates are falling. But as of September 23rd, 2024, you can still lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at public.com. That's a pretty big deal because when rates drop, so can the interest you earn on your cash. A bond account allows you to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a diversified portfolio of high yield and investment grade corporate bonds. So while other people are watching their returns shrink, you can sit back with regular interest payments. But you might want to act fast because your yield is not locked in until you invest. The good news? It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up at public.com. Lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account. Only at public.com. Brought to you by Public Investing. Member FINRA and SIPC. Yield to worst is not guaranteed. Not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risk. Visit public.com/disclosures for more info.
How do you feel when you switch to Geico and save on your car insurance? It's like going to work on Thursday morning and thinking to yourself, just one more day until Friday. But then somebody walks into the elevator and says,
Happy Friday!
Then you check your phone quickly and discover today is actually Friday. So yes, happy Friday, random stranger in the elevator. Happy Friday indeed. Yep, switching and saving with Geico feels just like that. Get more with Geico.
You're listening to LSU Daily with Matt Musso, your home for all things LSU sports.
Off and running here on another edition of LSU Daily. Welcome in and glad to have you along for the ride. LSU continues a generational run in the transfer portal over the weekend, signing 2 more immediate impact players for the 2025 team. Center Braelin Moore from Virginia Tech and standout edge rusher from Florida State, Patrick Payton. We'll give you the lowdown on both of those guys. I mean, just 2, again, instant impact players for LSU in 2025, both at positions of need. We are also 8 days away from the Texas Bowl, LSU and Baylor, so we'll continue to count you down regarding that as well, and a touch of basketball news to get to as well. LSU coming off a win, but it is a little roster shakeup for Matt McMahon's group as well, coming off of that win against UNO. So plenty to get to. Subscribe, share, follow on social media, Twitter X at Musso Matthew. You can find me on social media, on Instagram and Facebook as well. Instagram at Matthew Musso1. All of that greatly appreciated. Let's dive right into it. And of course, we'll start with LSU football, and we'll start with the 2 new additions. Take them in order. Braelin Moore, the center out of Virginia Tech. Boy, this was just one of the worst kept secrets for a very long time. The way I was talking to some people at a Christmas party over the weekend, and the way I termed it was, this is the worst kept secret since Jakeem Jackson early in the portal cycle. That you just knew, okay, it's just really a matter of time. You're waiting for the announcement. You're waiting for him to make it official, and that's really kind of what we're waiting for with Braelin Moore. And it took maybe longer than expected to get it to that official point, but LSU, really from the moment this started, seemed like the team to beat. It's where all the crystal balls were, 100%, all the projections, all of those things. And ultimately, over the weekend, it did become official, and Braelin Moore is an LSU Tiger. And you're getting a massive prospect here. number 4 interior offensive lineman in the country, according to the transfer portal. Like I said at the top, plug-and-play starter, 6'3", 303 pounds. Just a massive presence in the middle of your line, a physical presence in the middle of the line. When you look at Braelin Moore, the offensive line that he anchored for Virginia Tech, it is heavy in the running game. And that ultimately, first and foremost, is why I love this addition so much. It was the most disappointing thing about the 2024 LSU Tigers for me was the inability to consistently run the football. Because you had such a veteran offensive line, 4 out of 5 starters back, all in their what you expected to be their final year, and ultimately it played out that way, and you just could never fully get the physicality needed in the running game. Braelin Moore is going to help fix that. You look at the Hokies a year ago in 2023, averaged 190 yards per game on the ground. That's top 25 in the FBS, excuse me. And that is something that LSU desperately needs, because I'll tell you this, if you were watching the playoff games this past weekend in the first round, and say what you want about the blowouts and all of that, I'm not here to have that conversation with you on this show, but the one thing that was for certain, teams that could run the football were on the winning side of that blowout all 4 games. It's like guard play in March. You have to have it. If you're going to make a deep run in college football, you better win in the trenches, and you better be able to run the football. Braelin Moore is a huge step in the right direction for LSU to do that. We'll talk about what it means to the rest of the offensive line in a moment, specifically DJ Chester, but a little bit more on Moore. 2-year starter for Virginia Tech, began his career at guard, moved to center in 2024. So this was his first season there. But Moore has gone on record saying that is his preferred spot on the offensive line. And from everything you can gather, there really wasn't much trouble with the snaps there for Moore at the center in his first year. That's a really good sign, because in high school he also played guard and defensive end, actually, but in high school guard. So this was really the first foray into center, and it was very, very successful. Outside of just the logistics of center, the production with him leading the run game didn't fall off either in 2024. 187 yards per game, 5 yards per carry with Moore at center for Virginia Tech. So this is a massive, massive addition for LSU. Hat tip to Brad Davis. The guy has done absolutely nothing but recruit his butt off since getting to LSU. And it's not just in the high school ranks, it's in the portal ranks as well. I mean, you look at a guy like Miles Frazier, right, who comes to you out of the transfer portal with Brad Davis on staff. That guy did nothing but start for you ever since he got here. He'll start at right tackle in the bowl game for you. You can go through the high school ranks where each cycle Brad Davis has signed a 5-star offensive lineman, whether it be Will Campbell, whether it be Lance Hurd, whether it be Weston Davis, whether it be Solomon Thomas. Like, go through each of them. He's done nothing but recruit his ass off since he's been here, and you've seen development take place as well. And that's also the key. Like, that's how you recruit so well, is you have the skins on the wall to show, okay, I'm not just telling you, feeding you a line here. You come here, I'm going to develop you. Brad Davis has been fantastic, and Braelin Moore is just the next, the next in line in that lineage right now. Okay, so what does this mean for the rest of the offensive line? Because I've said on a number of occasions here, when talking about Moore, he's a plug-and-play day one guy, and most likely at center. It's his preferred position. You saw him do very well, and quite honestly, DJ Chester struggled at center in his first full year starting. The struggles for Chester, though, really were twofold. And it wasn't really until the latter part of the season where you saw them kind of rear their head at the same time. There were some problems with the snap throughout, snap infractions, things of that nature with Chester. But it wasn't until later in the year that the blocking really got magnified. Now, how much of that was Garrett Dellinger being hurt and not playing next to DJ Chester anymore, and you having a true freshman in there? Yes, that does matter. Like, that does matter. But that also is your reality. And I don't want to say it never got better because it did get better, but it was just highly inconsistent. If you have a veteran in there at center, which is a wildly important spot, I mean, think back to Brian Kelly's first season. And they were shuffling the offensive line around, and they had to figure it out. And he said center had to come first. Now, they made the wrong call by putting Garrett Dellinger there. That lasted one game. And then it was Charles Turner, and Charles Turner never left the spot again for his 2 seasons at LSU. But that's the importance of center, where you had all these options there. You know, okay, Will Campbell's a freshman. Emory Jefferson. You had all these options along the offensive line. Everybody wants to know who's going to be the 5. It's like, okay, center has to happen first. And they cross-trained a bunch of guys there trying to figure out who they thought gave them the best the best chance. Center has to come first again for this team while you're rebuilding it because you're losing 4 starters. So center has to come first. So let's assume that that's Braelin Moore because I fully expect it to be. You don't go get him to move him to guard. So what happens with DJ Chester? While Chester had his problems at center, DJ Chester also just went through an entire SEC season. DJ Chester, for me, right now, before we even get into spring and everything, for me, likely has a spot on the offensive line because of that. It makes sense that he would move down to a guard position. Now, that leaves you one more, and you have a lot of options. A lot of options to fill in the other guard spot. Whether it's Paul Mubenga, who got plenty of playing time down the stretch because of the injury to Garrett Dellinger, although that was a struggle at times. He really was thrown into the fire and really into the part of the season where LSU struggled the most. And it was like, hey, go learn on the fly. And it's a really hard spot to be in, and he played his ass off, and it's going to make him better going forward. But there's going to be competition. And there's going to be competition at all these guard spots. Like I said right now, I think Chester's got the spot. But you get these guys in spring, we're going to talk about some of them momentarily, and that could change. But not only do you have Chester, Mubenga, Bo Bordelon, you have Cohen Eccles still from the class of 2024, who they loved. They flipped him out of A&M's class. Highly touted interior lineman. They're really high on him. Then you look at what you brought in this class, and it's 5-star Solomon Thomas, interior lineman. Guard, could compete immediately and play. Carius Kern, who is projected, at least at On 3, to probably finish as a 5-star. And Brian Kelly on signing day mentioned him as one of the guys who could absolutely come in and play immediately as a freshman day one on the offensive line at LSU. The competition at guard is going to be fascinating moving forward. But what you have is you have your center. And that's Braelin Moore. And that's a big, big, big piece. You also have Tyree Adams, who could play any position on the line. He was your 6th offensive lineman all year till he got hurt. He's going to compete at just about every spot available for him to do it, to compete at. You can't rule him out, and they're really, really high on him, obviously, as well. So the competition at guard is going to be one of the more fascinating things to watch with this LSU team going forward. And who knows? They might go get one more in the portal for guard. What they definitely have to do is go get a tackle. And I don't necessarily know if they're sold yet on who they're looking at at that position. Like we've talked about the kid from Washington State. That's probably not it. The Northwestern guy, it's probably not it. They're going to keep picking through. They're going to keep going. What I would say is obviously you trust Brad Davis because why not? Look at what he's done recruiting along the offensive line since he's been at LSU and developing. And it's why, you're replacing 4 starters and there's going to be growing pains. And that's why you need those veteran pieces like a Braelin Moore, like a tackle if you can go get him. But you don't have any shortage of options and really good options. And that is a comforting feeling. It's not to say you're going to run out the best offensive line in the history of the program in 2025, but you should be good up front, really good up front on that unit. All right. Switching sides of the ball. Patrick Payton from Florida State. Edge rusher. Oh, man. What a get. There's been a few times I've run through this and it's been like, this is probably my favorite pickup that they've gotten. And it's hard for me to look at Patrick Payton and not say the same thing. This is a kid that did nothing but wreak havoc at Florida State. He is going to fit into Blake Baker's defense perfectly off the edge. So a little bit on Payton. 3 years at FSU, redshirted in 2021, appeared in all 13 games in 22, most of the time playing opposite of Jared Verse. 22 is his first full year. Again, played in all 13 games, 5 sacks, 6 TFLs. ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year. Florida State's first to win that award since 2012. Then in 2023, follows that up by starting all 14 games on that team that went 13-0. And then, the playoff stuff happened. Again, opposite Jared Verse. Went from 6 tackles for a loss to 14.5, from 5 sacks to 7, from 3 pass breakups to 10. Just a massive, massive jump. And then this past season, again, all 12 games, you saw the numbers dip a little bit. Only the 4 sacks, but still 11 TFLs. Add it all together, this is a guy that in 3 years, 39 games, over 100 tackles, 31.5 tackles for loss, and 16 sacks. This is the guy coming in to replace Braden Swinson for you. You've done great at edge. Whether it's Butler or Pyburn, guys like that, they maybe are more that big run stuffing end. And look, Patrick Payton's not small, don't get me wrong, 6'5", 250. But definitely when you look at the numbers and the game and tape, profiles much more as that rush end that can come in there and completely blow things up in the backfield for you, get to the quarterback, and if he can't, he'll get his hands up and knock the ball down. This is really that final piece you needed at edge rusher if you're LSU. Now you're good. And that was a big need spot for you because of everything that you had lost. You were losing Swinson and Jones because of eligibility. Deshaun Womack is at Ole Miss now. You added 3, and you added 3 really, 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 really good ones. Patrick Payton, per 247 Sports, Patrick Payton is the number 2 overall player in the transfer portal, the number 1 edge rusher. Jack Pyburn is a top 50 overall player in the transfer portal, the number 7 edge rusher. And then Jamari Butler is a top 150 player in the portal, the 16th best edge rusher. You went and got 2 top 10 edge rushers and another guy ranking right outside the top 15. They crushed it in that area. And oh, by the way, we're still waiting to see what Harold Perkins' decision is. Because that's a guy who, if he returns, he can absolutely create havoc off the edge for you as well. It was the thing you were best at defensively this season, was pass rush, creating havoc, and blowing things up in the backfield. You needed to reload, and you did. Patrick Payton is going to be a major, major piece. Plug and play, day number 1. And then when you look behind him, you still have guys that are incredibly high on, like Kalaj Cobbins. This has been one hell of a run so far in the portal, and they are not done. 247 Sports has them the number 2 ranked portal class in the country, the number 1 ranked portal class in the SEC. They still need help at tackle. And oh, by the way, they still need to go out and get safety help, and they will. But one thing's for certain. LSU made 2 big moves in the most important area for them right now, and that's the trenches. And that doesn't even add in the fact that Sydir Mitchell from Texas joined the fold on Friday. Huge defensive tackle who can stay on the field 3 downs, do all of those things. LSU getting stronger up front, where you have to be if you're going to compete for championships. And it was a necessity because they needed to rebuild there. So far, so good. All right, before we get out of here, quick note on LSU basketball. They took out UNO 86-70 over the weekend on on Sunday, actually. Final score a bit misleading. It's actually a game that we'd seen from LSU plenty. Slower start to the first half, only up by 1 at the break over the Privateers with 14:53 to play in the game. The score was actually tied at 38. And then with the help of a 22-1 run by LSU, they seized control of the game and ultimately got to that 16-point victory. So another nice win. Victorious Miller paced them 17 points. Your leading scorer was 50% from three-pointer. That's awesome to see. Cam Carter with a double-double. Corey Chest with a double-double. Chest continues to just impress here in his first year starting over there at LSU. LSU blocked 8 shots in the ball game. They were, after the slow start, they really took control of the game and dominated an inferior opponent. They moved to 10-2. One noticeable absence was that of guard Mike Williams. Not in uniform, has not played for LSU since November the 29th. Matt McMahon, after the game, was asked about the status of the sophomore guard, said personal reasons. Mike Williams away from the team for personal reasons. The important follow-up there from McMahon is that they expect Mike Williams to be back with the team after Christmas. So that is positive because LSU depth is already kind of a question for them. And obviously, look, personal reasons, you hope Mike Williams takes care of everything that's going on in his life. That is obviously first and foremost and way more important than basketball. There is a basketball angle to this, though, and it comes in with depth for LSU because Tyrell Ward is not with the team. You lost Jalen Reed for the season to the ACL. You need as many bodies as you can have because you're already a little thin. Now, with Williams playing in the backcourt, your numbers are pretty good there, but you want to keep it that way. So Mike Williams, personal reasons away from the team. Hope that he does everything necessary to get that in check and takes care of himself first. And he's expected back after Christmas. And then LSU, before you know it, man, they'll be in conference play for the Tigers. But 10-2, 86-70 over UNO on Sunday. That's going to wrap it up here on LSU Daily. Smash that subscribe button, share, follow me on social media. All of that greatly appreciated. And be here next time for more on LSU Daily.
Can you believe all this talk about GLP-1s? Of course you can. It's all people talk about. Have you heard about Future Health, though? They make access to qualified doctors that know GLP-1s easier than ever. People can struggle with weight loss for years, trying various diets and exercises without lasting success. With GLP-1s, many people notice a reduction in cravings and felt more in control of their eating habits, which lead to weight loss, physical health, and feeling more optimistic about their future. Feeling good is most important, and no matter what you do to be healthy or to get in good shape, now science can be utilized. Everyone wins. They give millions of people affordable access to knowledgeable providers who really know weight loss medications for less than $3 a day. Find out if weight loss meds are right for you in 3 minutes at tryfh.com. That is tryfh.com.
Tryfh.com.
Future Health is not a healthcare services provider. Meds are prescribed at provider's discretion. Results may vary. Sponsored by Future Health.
Heads up, folks. Interest rates are falling. But as of September 23rd, 2024, you can still lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at public.com. That's a pretty big deal because when rates drop, so can the interest you earn on your cash. A bond account allows you to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a diversified portfolio of high yield and investment grade corporate bonds. So while other people are watching their returns shrink, you can sit back with regular interest payments. But you might want to act fast because your yield is not locked in until you invest. The good news? It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up at public.com. Lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account. Only at public.com. Brought to you by Public Investing. Member FINRA and SIPC. Yield to worst is not guaranteed. Not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risk. Visit public.com/disclosures for more info.